Welcome to another special bonus edition of the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning podcast. This is a Michigan week thing that we're doing. Lots of interview clips with Michigan players, Ohio State players, Michigan coaches, Ohio State coaches. Today you're going to be hearing from Ohio State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. Knowles was brought in the 2022 season after a couple of years of very, very bad Ohio State defense. And his first year was a significant improvement over those two bad years under Kerry Combs and Matt Barnes. They got better. It was not good enough, especially in the game against Michigan, when they had 5 big plays that really kind of swung the game in Michigan's favor. Now, when Jim Knowles looks at that game, and he's looking at the previous Ohio State-Michigan game, trying to figure out what lessons need to be learned for this year's game, does it occur to him that, maybe he made good calls at times and, I don't know, how can we phrase this? Maybe some other outside factors may have factored into some of those results?
No, we have to be focused on what's happening right now, the things that are in our control and, lack of ego and being selfless. I mean, a lot of that applies to whatever happened, you know what I mean? That's not going to help us. What's going to help us, my freshman history teacher, Father Vincent Taggart, SJ. But he started first time as a freshman, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it, But then then he also used to say, he said, well, you got to live in the present moment, highest form of sanity is live in the present moment. So I think what I don't know if you ever figure it out in life, but that those things that happened in the past, you have coaches, you have mentors, and I need to figure all that out and process that and determine what's important to then pass on to the team, because they don't need to be worried about any of that. They got to play hard. They got to play tough. They got to play fast. So they don't really need to be worried about that. I mean, I can think about that, ruminate on that, and, go through all the things in the off season. But ultimately we're better right now because of it. So we got to stick with that.
There was a lot of introspection for Jim Knowles and the defense after that loss to Michigan last year, and they have made a lot of changes in response to what happened against the Wolverines in Ohio Stadium this time last year. So how excited is Jim Knowles to see how much all that hard work actually pays off this weekend?
Main reason our players or coaches or our people who run the cafeteria, because you want to be the best and you want to compete against the best and you want to challenge yourself, to see how you stack up. So you do things, they take a long time. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Ultimately, it's all to give the players the best chance to win right now at the Ohio State in this game. It all kind of points right to there. And you just have to perform. You got to be tough. You got to be physical. You got to be fast. You can't be thinking too much. That's where all the fundamentals and all the development of the scheme really comes into play.
Michigan's offense can present a unique challenge for a defensive coordinator. They were not shy about loading up with offensive linemen, loading up with tight ends, and just trying to straight up bully you. Bill Landis asked about the challenge of covering a 9-surface front. So basically, there are 9 gaps you have to cover and edges you have to cover. That's a lot of different spots where you need a lot of different guys when Michigan is loading up with guys up front.
It's a big challenge. It's unusual. Everybody has to understand the scheme and the gap fits, and there's an exactness that comes with it that I think a lot of people don't understand, that I think you men and women do, because I'm not just blowing your horn, but men and women do a great job here of really technically knowing the game. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of all of a sudden there's a lot of different gaps, and their running backs are talented, and their offensive line is talented, and so there really is an exactness and a preciseness that our players need to understand, and that's my job. My job is to get them to understand by Saturday and be able to do it fast.
This year's Ohio State defense has unquestionably been better than last year's, but they looked pretty good going into the Michigan game last year too. That the big plays have definitely been way, way down this year, but on the whole, I think people were expecting a pretty good performance from the Ohio State defense last year against Michigan, and that was not exactly how that game played out. So where is Jim Knowles' level of confidence in this year's defense as compared to where he was going into the Michigan game last year?
Yeah, I can't really comment on last year, but I can tell you what I see right now, and I think to me, confidence is playing fast, and that competitive excellence, which is like win the moment, like be at the right place at the right time, playing fast with a bad attitude. You know, when you watch it, you know, you can see it, and I think everybody can, and that's what we've really honed on as a defense is let's be a defense that everybody can watch, and even if they don't know the exactness or the preciseness of the game, they can see people playing fast and showing up in the right places, and that gives everybody confidence. You know, so our confidence then I think spills over to the team and the fan base and whoever, you know, you feel like you're going to be okay no matter what happens.
Michigan ranks among the better teams on offense and certainly in terms of scoring points this year. So what is Jim Knowles' biggest concern facing this year's Michigan's offense?
It's hard to pinpoint, you know, because the running game is multiple because of all the different formations. They do a great job of hiding their formations and their intent. And the offensive line is as good as we faced, and the backs are really good. So I think when you look in the history of this game, it starts there. You know, you have to do that. So then I think the balance becomes, okay, how do you prevent the explosive plays on the back end with not overcommitting to this and leaving yourself exposed here? So that's the real balancing act.
The Buckeyes are expecting to be pretty healthy for the most part. Sounds like Lathan Ransom is probably not going to play, but just about everyone else sounds like they are probably going to be ready to go. So how does getting someone like Mike Hall along the defensive front change things for the Buckeyes heading into this weekend's game?
Mike's a great player, plays with great energy and great enthusiasm. I think he lifts everybody up around him. And yes, I've been saying it all year. So he helps us, not just using up blocks, because I'm saying all year our defensive tackles have actually been making tackles. And when you have defensive tackles that make tackles, it helps the whole defense.
Last year against Michigan, the Buckeyes gave up 3 big plays through the air, which then set up a desperation situation at the end of the game where they gave up 2 big plays on the ground. Big breakdowns through the air, big breakdowns on the ground. That's about all the places you can have big breakdowns. So how much better prepared are they on those 2 fronts now compared to a year ago?
I think it started last spring. Like I said, we're competing against our offense. Some of the best receivers, the best receiver in the country. And, you know, our guys forget about the scheme. You know, that's not their issue. That's my issue. But they played with a more competitive nature, you know, all spring, all camp. And you can't just turn it on for this game. It's just something, like you said, that's grown, and you see them competing for more balls and you know, playing close to receivers, challenging routes. Yeah, just that makes me confident, but that really makes the rest of the team confident, and that's what's important.
Mentioned earlier that Lathan Ransom, the safety, is expected to not be able to play on Saturday. So how does having Sonny Styles, they've talked about him as a Swiss Army knife and a secret weapon. How does not having Lathan Ransom out there impact how they're able to use Sonny Styles?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to Yeah, we would love to have Lathan. That certainly allows us to do different things with Sonny, and uh, without that, we still have to do different things with Sonny, but you can be less focused. Yeah, Sonny has got to be spread around in different locations, because we think he can make a lot of plays.
Jim Knowles has been part of plenty of rivalries in the past. He coached at Duke, and they have a pretty big rivalry with North Carolina, and coached at Oklahoma State, who, of course, plays Bedlam every year against Oklahoma. But the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, well, it's kind of on another level, as you probably have figured out. So when did Knowles really grasp just how big this rivalry was for the first time?
Yeah, I think when you live through it and you uh, feel the disappointment and take that uh, personally, not personally like you get angry, but personally like you don't want to let anybody down. You don't want to let the fans down. Most importantly, you don't want to let our players down. So you see how they feel, and you just want to do better.
Michigan under Jim Harbaugh tends to be, I mean, the reputation is man ball, and they have lived up to that to an extreme degree at times this year. 32 straight carries for the offense at Penn State. No passes. Well, there's one that was a pass interference, but no passes in the box score and 32 straight runs. So what stands out to Knowles about Michigan's commitment to running the football?
I mean, that just shows me they have great confidence in their running game. They have great confidence in their defense, right? I mean, a team that's willing to do that is willing to play the long game, the 4-quarter game, and trust their defense and their offensive line and running backs. And that shows me that we better be ready to slug it out for 4+ quarters or whatever it takes.
One of the most dangerous parts of J.J. McCarthy's game is the fact that he is a willing scrambler and can get out of the pocket and not just run, but also buy time to make throws down the field. McCarthy has not run a lot in recent weeks. He's been banged up a little bit, but is Knowles expecting him to use his legs quite a bit this week?
Yeah, I expect him. He's a really good runner. He ran some against us last year, and he runs from time to time when they need it. He's a competitor, so you just have to always be you have to always be ready for it, and you have to understand the types of runs that he likes, the types of scrambles he likes, and he's a really good player. So you better be aware of his ability to throw as well as run.
One of the most amazing stats for this season is the Buckeyes, through 11 games, have given up exactly one play of 40 yards or more all season long. That was that fumble-rooski, weird double snap play, trick play that Rutgers ran on 4th and short. That's it. That's the only time anyone has gotten for the Buckeyes for more than 40 yards at any point this season. So when did Jim Knowles feel like, all right, we have the big plays under control, we got that down, no worries there?
Yeah, I never feel like we have it down, ever. It's a constant pursuit to defend explosive plays. And look at the one that got us. What was that? That fake sneak thing? Man, hats off to them. What a great play, But you just don't. You never know where they're going to come from. So you better be on high alert. It better be something that's a priority. It has shown to be a real factor in this game. When you study statistics, it's been a real factor. So we can never stop talking about it, defending it, practicing it.
Talked earlier about all the things that Jim Knowles has done since the Michigan game, since those 5 big plays really swung that game last year. What does that look like? What have the last 365 days looked like for Knowles as he has tried to make sure what happened last year doesn't happen again?
It's a long, arduous, grinding process to get here, but it's extremely rewarding, and I think that's the job of a leader, is to, have a vision, like you taught, to learn from your mistakes, not have an ego, which a lot of us coaches do. So, maybe, so not have an ego, what's best, what happened, how do I fix it? Have a vision of, okay, this, now you have to communicate that. Like you got to get people to buy in, like you taught. Then you're selling it for 365 days and you're growing it and you're watering it and you're feeding it and you're nurturing it and you're showing this is good, this is not good, this is good, not good, good, not good. Why? We have to go out and do this. How? Okay, here are the things that we're going to do. Here are the specifics of how we're going to do this. And you sell it to them and you motivate them and they see it. But it's a long process, but extremely rewarding. And we have to make it pay off for us this Saturday.
Mentioned earlier that the Buckeyes are expecting to have pretty much everyone back this weekend. That would include middle linebacker Tommy Eichenberg. Eichenberg had to sit out senior day with an injury. Did not sound like that was a fun conversation to have with him. So how badly does he want to play this weekend? And what is he going to bring to the Buckeyes, assuming he does play?
Everything. Tommy will bring every single ounce of his person to this game. And he will fight to defend our honor. That's just the kind of guy that he is. He's the kind of guy we all want on that wall.
Well, that will do it for Jim Knowles. We'll be back with another episode of the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning podcast at the usual time. And of course, we'll still be having a bunch of bonus episodes coming up throughout the next couple days as we count down to Saturday. Going to be hearing from more Ohio State players and coaches. Should be plenty, hopefully, to get you through and make the time go just a little bit faster before Saturday at noon. So we will talk to you then.